Now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves all of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one university, this daily masterclass. Yes, daily masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, how to be a winning player. So there's a difference between just being a player and being a winning player, because we all know the object of the game is to win. And this does not necessarily just mean sports. I'm talking about any game, no matter what you do. If you're an electrician, a plumber, a teacher, an online influencer, an author, a podcaster, an account specialist, an insurance salesperson, every one of us has a game. So in any team that you're on, even if the team is just you right now, how can you be a winning player in your organization to provide something to the group that puts the group in a better position to be successful? In a sport such as basketball, this would denote, when I say being a winning player, it denotes doing things that will help your team win, but those things that do not show up in the stats. That's really what I'm talking about here. So, of course, scoring a lot of points will help your team win a basketball game. Even if you don't know basketball that well, you understand that. But there are certain things that a player can do in a game, such as setting good screens or talking on defense, as they say, or taking charges. And technically there's a stat for taking charges nowadays, but things like that don't show up in the big time stats. They're not vanity statistics that you can show off and say, hey, look how good of a player I am because look at this stat. But if there's no one on the team doing these things, talking on defense, being a good teammate, cheering for your teammates even when you're sitting on the bench, setting good screens, taking charges, if there's no one on the team doing that, your team is probably not going to be as successful as it could be. But so these are the things that don't show up in the stats. And many casual observers of any game is not, again, in the sports world, there are casual observers who don't understand the things that I just explained. And in every other game, the game that you are in, there are casual observers of your game who do not quite understand the little things that make the difference between success and failure and what it is you do for a living. So, but trained eyes know what they're seeing. Trained eyes like yours would know what they're seeing. So I'm going to point out some things here today, some principles of things that you can apply to any game that you're in that will make the difference between winning and losing, the type of things that make anyone a winning player. And of course, you should understand that you need to, first of all, check yourself for each one of these attributes that I'm going to lay out here today. And secondly, if you identify that you are missing one or all of these attributes, then you know what you need to do. One or more of these attributes, rather. You know what you need to do. You need to make some adjustments. I mean, that's why the show is called Work on Your Game. So that's what we're doing. First of all, we got to assess our games, then we get to work. So point number one, the topic once again, how to be a winning player. First thing, do things that need to be done that no one else wants to do. Now again, in something like basketball, we bring it back to sports, everybody wants to score points. That does need to be done. To win a game, you do need to score some points. I mean, you can't score 0 points and have the best defense in the world and win the game. Best case scenario, it'd be a 0-0 tie. Somebody has to score some points on a basketball team for the team to win. In football, you're probably going to want someone to score a touchdown or two if your team's going to be successful. In soccer, somebody has to score the goals. In sales, somebody has to actually make the transaction occur. So there are certain things that do need to happen that are more front-facing, that they draw more attention, especially from the casual observers, that do need to happen. But there are other things that need to happen that the casual observer would never notice. Only the insiders know that it's happening. They are what they call thankless tasks, the type of things that everyone who understands the game value, but it's not a bright, shiny object type of task. Therefore, many people may shy away from even wanting to do it because there's no attention to be gotten from it. There's no fanfare that comes with it. But the person who is willing to do the things that need to be done, but nobody else wants to actually do them, doing these things make you a linchpin in any group or organization. And what is a linchpin? This is my definition. There's a person or thing vital to an enterprise or an organization. In other words, if you weren't there, a lot of things will fall apart, even though the casual observer will say, all right, well, that person leaves, so what? That person wasn't putting up big stats anyway. That person wasn't that well known. They're not one of the stars of the team. But then when you leave, all of a sudden the stars can't do their star thing as well as they used to do it. Things are not working as easily as they were before. The continuity seems to be gone. Everything seems to kind of be coming apart at the seams because you, who were doing those thankless tasks, you were like the glue. In sports, they call it the glue guy. This is the person who they just hold everything together. Their presence brings all the other parts of the organization together and makes things work, even though they are not one of the stars themselves. So that glue person, that linchpin individual, they're doing the stuff that needs to be done, but maybe not so exciting. And other people are not very excited to actually do it. But when you're willing and able, I want you to keep this in mind, especially all of you out there who want to be part of some type of group or organization, but you can foresee that you will probably not be the star of that organization. You're not going to be the front-facing person. You're not going to be the front runner who gets all the attention, but you do want to be part of that organization, and you want to know what's something that you can do to contribute to that organization in such a way that they need you around, that they actually want you around, and you're not so easy, you're not so fungible. It's not so easy to put somebody else in your place. When you're willing and able to do what nobody else can do and or what nobody else wants to do, you become irreplaceable. When you are willing and able to do what no one else can do or what no one else wants to do, you become irreplaceable. Your contributions cannot be replaced by anyone else simply because they can't do it or they just don't want to do it. If nobody at your company wants to clean the bathroom and you're willing to clean the bathroom, okay, does the bathroom need to be cleaned? Yes. Okay, and the person who's willing to clean the bathroom will always have a job. I remember the first job that I was working at Pizza Hut early in my work career. And the bathrooms at the Pizza Hut sometimes would get nasty because customers get it going there. I mean, you all been in public bathrooms before. I don't have to get too graphic with that. And I never cleaned the bathroom in Pizza Hut, but somebody was cleaning that bathroom. I don't know who it was. I think the managers took on the task of cleaning the bathroom to make sure it stayed clean, but I wasn't the person who wanted to clean any damn bathroom. So if I ever open a brick and mortar business, I'm guessing I'm going to have to be willing to clean the bathroom. But actually, you know what? We might not have public bathrooms. I might not even let customers use the bathroom if I have a front-facing, a storefront business, because it gets nasty in those places. Again, y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't have to talk about that too much. But whoever is willing to clean the bathroom, they're going to have an opportunity for themselves because they're willing to do that job. Whoever's willing to take the charges and set the screens and talk on defense and clap boisterously from the bench on a basketball team, they are going to be the type of person who will always have a job opportunity. Even if they go from team to team, there'll always be a team that wants them because they're offering something that other people either can't or are unwilling to offer. This is something that you see also in the sports world when you get a player who is past their prime and maybe no longer that much of a contributor on the court or on the field. And they're not putting up any stats or anything like that. Hell, they might not even be playing at all. They may not even get into games, but because of their presence, because of their energy, because of their positivity, because of the mentorship that they can offer the other players on the team, they always have a job and they're always on a roster simply because they bring something. In sports, they call it the veteran presence. So you're bringing that veteran presence and all your knowledge and wisdom from over the years, you're bringing that to the team, and the team values that, and they're willing to pay you for it, and you keep having a job even though you are not getting in the game at all. You're not putting up any stats whatsoever. The team needs you, though, because you made yourself a linchpin based on the task that you are willing to do, the other people are not. Point number 2. Topic, once again, today is how to be a winning player. Number 2, put more on the table than you take off the table. In other words, you become a net positive for any group that you are a part of. Your presence brings more than it takes away. Now, understand something. Every one of us is going to take something off the table whenever we're doing a job, whenever we're part of an organization. For example, if you work at FedEx and they're paying you, now you're taking something off the table. You're taking money out of the FedEx company account and it is getting paid to you. It's going into your pocket. That is something that you're taking off the table. I want to be clear. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's not bad for you to get paid. When you're working, you're supposed to get paid, right? That's the reason why most people work, is so that they can make money. That's the reason why most people go look for work, so they can put some money in their pocket. So it's a good thing that you get paid, and you deserve to get paid. However, you getting paid is taking something off the table. So let me finish this thought so that you get the other side of the equation. I'm not saying this as if it's a negative thing. I'm stating it as an objective truth. Here's the thing you need to understand. whatever you give in value through the work that you do for that money needs to be worth more than whatever they're giving you. So if the company is paying you, keeping it simple, $1 a day, you need to be providing at least, if we just, again, keeping it simple, whole numbers, you need to be providing at least $2 worth of value. So you're getting paid $1, but you're putting $2 of value back into the company. So in other words, every single day that you work, the company is a net plus $1. Everybody follow what I just said? All right, they're giving you $1 every time you work, but you're providing $2 worth of value. Every time you work, the company's earning an extra $1. Even though you got paid, they got what they needed. Everybody's happy. It's a win-win situation all the way around. And then the government can tax you on that $1, so they win too. Winning players make the team better, not because they take nothing for themselves, but because they simply make their presence a net positive for the group. This is an example that I gave a couple weeks ago when I was talking about LeBron James and having the leverage that LeBron James had with the basketball teams he played for, specifically the situation when he went back to the Cleveland Cavaliers for his second stint with the team, and he signed what was essentially a one-year contract every year. He had the leverage to do that because the presence that he brought, the value that he brought to the organization and the surrounding community and the entire league was worth more than anything the league or the organization or the community could give to him, at least in terms of raw numbers. He's probably worth $100 million a year to any team that he's playing for, but NBA salary structure doesn't allow any team to pay LeBron James $100 million. I looked up Cristiano Ronaldo's salary for soccer. He's making, it was somewhere around $80 million a year for playing soccer. LeBron James should be making something like that. All right, he's worth to a team the same amount that Ronaldo would be worth to a soccer team. LeBron should be making $80 million a year, and it should be way more than any other player in the NBA is making per season. But he doesn't because of the salary cap structure. So every time LeBron James plays for a team, every year that he's played on a team, probably since he's been in the damn league, the entire time, he's been a net positive, even though he's making all this money. So if an NBA team pays LeBron James $50 million in salary, but he's producing $100 million in return for that team, then that team is a net plus $50 million just because LeBron James was involved. Because they're getting 100 from him, they only got to give him 50. That makes him a net positive. All right, that makes him a winning player. Does LeBron James' presence make a team better? I would think so. All right, even if you don't like LeBron, you had to admit at least to that part. Every winning player makes the team better. And again, it's not because they take nothing for themselves. Michael Jordan's last season in the NBA, or not his last season with the Chicago Bulls, rather. His last two seasons, he made $30 and $33 million per season, respectively. And this is way before nowadays you see players getting this kind of money on a yearly basis who are nowhere near Michael Jordan's level of production. They have not won the way Michael Jordan has, but everything's to scale. Now, the money is more and players are making more, relatively speaking. But back then, there was no salary cap structure where you could limit how much a player can make each season. So Michael Jordan was making $33 million a season those 2 years. Nobody else is making anywhere close to that per season at that time. And that made perfect sense, right? Because Michael Jordan was the best player. His team was winning all the championships. He had been the best player for a consistent period of time. Nobody was mad when Michael Jordan earned $30 and $33 million per year for those last two seasons in the NBA. Maybe his employer was mad because they weren't used to paying that much money. But in the big picture, he was absolutely worth it. And paying Michael Jordan $33 million, guess what? The Chicago Bulls ownership still made more money than they invested in having Michael Jordan involved. Michael Jordan's presence through that whole season, the performance of his teammates, the surrounding community, the arena, the ticket sales, the league revenue, the TV ratings, everything that the Chicago Bulls and by extension the NBA and by extension the city of Chicago got from Michael Jordan's presence was worth, I would say, at least 10 times more than the $33 million in salary that Michael Jordan received for his presence. So, to address here point number 2, was Michael Jordan putting more on the table than he was taking off the table? The answer is a hell yes. Now, forget about LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Let's talk about you. What are you taking off the table in whatever organization or organizations you are a part of versus what you're putting on the table? Are you a net plus for the organization or are you not? And you should be able to enumerate how you are. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in dollars and cents, but you should be able to explain yourself how you are a net positive for any organization you're a part of. Anything that you touch, are you making it better or are you making it worse? And again, this doesn't mean you have to take nothing in exchange for your presence. You can be paid for your job. Again, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, these guys are making 20, 30, 40 million dollars for one season of basketball. Are you bringing more value than you're receiving? As simple as that. Does your presence add to the situation while you gain from the situation? Again, that's a win-win. The win-win is you help the organization and you help yourself at the same time. You do not have to pick and choose between the two. They are not mutually exclusive. LeBron James helps himself by depositing his checks. And he also helps the organization by helping them win and making them more money than they would make if he wasn't there. So what you need to be is essentially a bargain for any group you're a part of. LeBron James is a bargain. If he was getting paid $50 million a year, and who knows, he might based on his contract, he's a bargain for any team he plays for because they're going to make way more than that. Michael Jordan was a bargain at $33 million a season. Ronaldo is a bargain at $80 million for a season. You might be getting paid $15 an hour. Are you a bargain? Is the organization earning more from every hour you work than they have to pay you for every hour you work? And let me give you a quick little secret here. If that answer is no, or the answer is unclear. First of all, the answer is no, you won't be working there for too much longer. If the answer is unclear, whenever there is some type of challenging situation for that organization, they're going to start looking, where can we trim the fat? Where can we get rid of the people who is not very, very clear that they are worth more than what we have to give them, and your head's going to be on the chopping block. All right, you and your job will metaphorically be sent to the guillotine if you're not a person who is a bargain for any organization you're a part of. Is you being there worth everything you get plus a little bit more than that? That's the profit for the organization. Again, profit doesn't necessarily have to be in dollars and cents. Point number 3. Topic here today is how to be a winning player. Put the team before yourself. Simple enough concept. Everyone who's listening to me right now has heard of this concept before. The question is, are you applying it? Are you actually doing it? You know, many times I'll talk about a certain thing that is when it relates to the mental game, and people will say, well, yeah, I already knew that, or I heard that before, or what you're saying is not a brand new concept. Sometimes people say it derisively as if they're trying to tell me, oh, well, I'm not bringing any value because I'm saying something that they already heard or that they quote unquote already know. Listen, are you applying it? That's the question that you need to ask yourself. Not do you know it, quote unquote know it, or have you heard it before? Are you applying it? Look at your life and show me where you're applying this. Where have you put the team before yourself? It's a simple concept that everyone's heard, as I said, but sometimes we forget. And some people forget it more often than other people forget it. Some people never learn this concept at all. Again, even though they heard it, they never learn it. And some people have heard it, read it, said it, but they're not actually living it. While success is selfish, right, it is to become successful, you will need to be selfish in many ways. When you are on a team, there is a balance that you need to strike. And there's an art to that balance. The art to the balance means I can't tell you, all right, you need to do this much of this and then this much of this. That would make it a science. If I'm telling you exactly how much to do it this way and how much to do that way. The art is you being able to understand this on feel. And that might take you gaining a little bit of experience under your belt before you understand that feel. And it's a feel that can sometimes be hard to put into words, but that's why it's an art. All right, that's why art is art. Getting what you need, this is the balance here. Getting what you need while doing so in the context of helping the team. Not having to choose between the two. So this is what LeBron James is able to do. He gets what he needs. He puts up amazing statistics. If someone's getting in an argument to defend LeBron James as the best player of all time, you can lay out his statistics, and the stats show that LeBron James does some things that makes him look really good on paper. Michael Jordan the same way. At the same time, both of those individuals, they do what they need to do, or that they do what they do that makes them look good. I don't even think either one of those guys goes into a game thinking I need to get certain stats. I think they're both good enough they don't even need to try. They're going to get them because they're as good as they are. At the same time, they're helping their teams. I don't think LeBron James or Michael Jordan ever played in a game and said, all right, let me make sure I get certain stats, and let me put that before the priority of making sure my team is successful. I don't think either player ever does or did that. They don't have to choose between the two. Now, when you're in a role player situation, maybe there are times where you would have the option of choosing between the two, because doing what will work for you, that may not be what the team needs from you. For example, you might think you're a great one-on-one scorer, but you're on Michael Jordan's team, so they don't need you to be a one-on-one scorer. They need you to be a spot-up shooter, or just a defensive stopper, or just a guy on the bench waving a towel and clapping really hard when Michael Jordan scores another point. They might not need you to do the thing that you think would provide or at least make you look best. The thing that will make you look best, the team doesn't need that from you. Are you willing to put that aside and do what the team is asking of you? This is something that I tell to athletes all the time. When, especially young athletes, amateur athletes who will say, well, Dre, I feel like I can do A, B, C, but the coach wants me to do just A. They don't want me to do all of the stuff I can do. They only want me to do a little bit of the things that I can do. How can I show the coach that I can do more? And I tell them, well, if you've already been trying and the coach has not asked you to do more of those things, and the coach is asking you to do A, but not A, B, C, D, E, and F, and if you want to stay on that team, you need to just do A. You need to shut up and just do A. Right? That's your contribution to the team. Sometimes your contribution to an organization is to do less than what you think you're capable of doing. Sometimes that's how it is. In life, when you are a role player, you may need to do less. You may need to hold yourself back from what you think you can do and just do the parts that are being asked of you because that's what the team needs. I talked about this in episode number 1173. The title, Everyone is a Role Player. Sometimes in life, you need to just fall back and be a role player. Everybody has a role. Even if you're the star, being a star is a role. Being the guy on the bench is a role. Being the person who cleans the bathroom is a role. Being the manager is a role. CEO is a role. The accountant, all of those are roles that need to be played. Everybody has a role to play. And understand when you're part of a team, it's not all about you. All right, that's why there's a team. If you want the team to be all about you, start your own team. And it's just you. All right, guess what? Now it's all about you. You got it all on your shoulders. Good luck. So the balance that you got to strike, again, getting what you need for yourself, which may not necessarily mean doing everything that you can do and getting everything you can possibly take. Because if everybody thought like that, your team would not succeed. But you're doing so in the context of helping the team. Not having to choose between, do I help the team or do I help myself? You should be helping yourself through helping your team. And if you're not able to do that in your current situation, find a new situation or work on your game so that you can do it. All right, one or the other. But do not keep trying to get your own and hurt the team at the same time. Somebody's going to notice and you won't be on the team anymore. If you are choosing between these two, either you don't have the right grasp on how to make it work or you're in the wrong place. The perfect situation for any of us is when you are helping yourself. And at the same time, you helping yourself is exactly what the team needs. And we could actually reverse that. You doing exactly what the team needs from you helps you just as much as it helps the team. That's the perfect situation. But understand, not everybody's going to have such a setup. LeBron has that setup, but the role players on the team, they don't have that setup. There are players who play on LeBron's teams over his career who probably thought they could score as many points as LeBron, but the situation wasn't set up for them to get the ball that much because the ball was in LeBron's hands, so they couldn't score all those points. They had to either fall back and play the role that was asked of them, or they can go find somewhere else to play. Some people will need to sacrifice in some ways in order to help the team be successful. That's just the way teams work. Again, 1173, everybody's a role player. If you're not willing to play a role, then you are not ready to be part of a successful team. Maybe you could be part of a mediocre team or a terrible team, but you're not ready to be part of a successful team if you are not willing and able to sacrifice some of what you think you can bring to the table. A lot of times in situations where people think they can bring more to the table or they claim they can bring more to the table, it's much more in their mind than is actually tangibly true. But again, you've been part of teams before. You've seen that, have you not? Let's recap today's class, which is how to be a winning player. In sports, this and those doing things to help your team win, but may not necessarily show up in the stat sheet. But this is not just a sports conversation. So let's get into what are the things any of us can do in part of any organization to make sure that team wins, while at the same time being able to do things for ourselves. Number one, do things that need to be done, but that no one else wants to do. These are the things that make you a linchpin, meaning you are a person who is vital to an enterprise or an organization. You are hard to replace because you can do something and you want to do something that nobody else either can or is willing to do. They need you. And when they need you, they can pay you. And you can make demands. Point number two, or they will pay you. Number two, put more on the table than you take off the table. If you're being paid for a job, give more in value than what you receive in payment. Winning players make teams better, not because they take nothing for themselves, but because their presence is a net positive for the group. Again, your company could be paying you $100 million a year, but if you're making them $200 million a year, is it a positive for them? Yes. So they will happily keep paying that $100 million because every time they pay you $100, they're getting back $200. That's a good business deal. You're running advertisement on Google or Facebook, and every $5 you spend, you're making $7. You will put all your money into that ad campaign as long as it keeps working the same way, because every $5 you put in, you're making $7. You're making a $2 profit. So you might as well just keep doing it. It's the same way it works in any organization with any of us individually. Number three, put the team before yourself. It's a simple concept that many people claim to know, quote unquote, but don't seem to be executing. Some people forget it. Some people never knew it. While success is selfish, when you are on a team, there is a balance to be struck, and there's an art to that balance. The balance is getting what you need while in the context of doing what the team needs. You should not be looking to choose between the two. If you are choosing, you either don't have the right grasp on the art, or you're in the wrong place, or you just need to get better at doing your job so that it will help you at the same time helping the team. Perfect situation is when you do exactly what the team asks of you and you are getting everything you need for yourself at the same time. Everybody's not going to have a perfect situation though, which means you just got to keep working on your game. You want to learn how to set yourself up strategically, skill-wise and strategic-wise, to get those kind of results, to get the kind of ROI for your game that not only helps you, but also helps any organization you're a part of. Join us at workonyourgameuniversity.com so we can show you how to develop your game, show your game, and get the ROI for your game. Work on your game. Dre, all